all of the presidential candidates. And the program in the theater, which is the nomination day program, that has already begun, and that consists of welcoming right now. After this press conference, we'll head right down to the theater. We'll also have speeches from the presidential candidates this morning. At 11:45, you may know by now, we'll have a live feed of Julian Assange from the Embassy of Ecuador in London. At about noon, we'll break for lunch. 1:30, people will begin to assemble back in the theater. We have two keynote speeches, first by Yane Indigo, and then by Dr. Cornel West. And after that begins, approximately at 2:15 p.m., we'll have the roll call of states, and that will be the actual nomination right there. When that finishes, somewhere around 3:30 p.m., we will have first the vice presidential acceptance speech, then the presidential acceptance speech. Following that, we will hold a press conference for the nominees back here in this room, so please join us there. Before I continue further, I'd like to recognize Dr. Cornel West, who is one of the keynote speakers. Thank you for joining us. I will introduce the candidates one by one, and then we'll have question and answer. Let's begin with Darryl Cherney. Sure. Oh, yeah. Bend the microphone up or down.
A little bit loud. I'm loud enough as it is. Over a year ago, a friend of mine had a vision that I should run for president. So I went to the internet, looked up how the Green Party was doing, because I've been a Green Party member since 1991 in California when I was first created. And it was a no-brainer that if I was going to run, I would run as a Green. And I'm just going to read to you the 10 key values, because to me, they're what it's all about, no matter who the candidates are. Grassroots democracy, social justice and equal opportunity, ecological wisdom, my favorite, nonviolence, really key, decentralization, community-based economics, I like to think of that as biocentrism, feminism and gender equality, respect for diversity. Diversity is what keeps us all alive. It is the fundamental building block of nature. Without diversity, we die. Personal and global responsibility and future focus and sustainability. So I went ahead and developed my own platform, about 3,600 words. It's on my website, feelthechurn.com. It's a small step from Bernie to Cherney. It's going to be my motto. And I learned how to run. Being a Green Party presidential candidate is like getting a college degree in political science. I learned how to run for president, at least within the Green Party, and I have to say that the Green Party is an open party to people coming in and being able to feel themselves out and get it together. When I developed my platform, I made my first position, the first sentence of my platform is my first action as president will be to pardon and free American Indian movement activist Leonard Peltier. And maybe it's not the most important issue that people think are facing the globe, but for me it's a barometer of the soul of this nation, a barometer of our conscience. And he is of the First Nations, and it's going to be my first action if I became president. But I've spoken to Jill, and I've also, I know that Jill Stein is on the same page as I am, and I made two conditions in which I would endorse her. That was one of them, and the other one was that she would play to win. And when somebody asked her, are you going to be the spoiler? No, I'm not going to be the spoiler, I'm going to be the winner. And I just talking to a young man here, he says, among young people in this country, this is a four-way race. And we're seeing Joe Stein beating Donald Trump in the polls right now among young people. That's you got the mainstream press's polls. So as a candidate and as a human being, I want to see us establish a solar nation, establish a solar pipeline, starting with panels in the White House. I want to see us protecting our children, from a 60-year-old father to a 4-year-old, and it's expanded my vision beyond knowledge, except of course for those of you who have children, you know what I mean, that our children are our future and we are destroying these generations. I'd like to see us end the war on people. and stop violating the Eighth Amendment, which doesn't just apply to the death penalty, but applies to cruel and unusual punishment, including all these fines for traffic tickets and violations for which they're putting people in jail and taking them away from their families. That is a violation, I believe, of the Eighth Amendment of the Constitution, and we need to normalize and liberate cannabis, because that has been one of the tools used, one of the primary tools used to put people in prison for what should be a perfectly legal activity. We need to bring peace on earth, and we're paying due props to unions. We need to save our post office. Jill has really built the party immensely. She's fundraised magnificently. She's toured the nation. She's gained name recognition. And so the other day I had a vision, and I emailed this to Jill. I said, I had a vision. I was looking at Trump and Hillary, which honestly I felt was like the choice between, I'm not going to say it. It was a distasteful choice, shall we say. And my vision, my epiphany, just like my friend had an epiphany, was that we have a choice. We have an alternative. Not just an alternative, we have an imperative. The Green Party, to paraphrase Rosa Clemente, I do believe, the Green Party is the imperative. Jill Stein is the imperative. And that's why I will be supporting, voting, donating money, and doing everything I can to see our nominee put into the presidential office, to the Oval Office. So everybody, I just want you to know that after the votes are tallied, I will be endorsing Jill Stein for president. Thank you very much. And one more thing. My big claim to fame, among saving the redwoods and saving Headwaters Forest up in Northern California, the Headwaters Forest National Reserve, which is a campaign I co-founded, stayed with for 13 years. But in the process of that, Judy Barry and I were car bombed in Oakland, California in 1990 and arrested by the FBI and Oakland police for bombing ourselves. We sued them and won $4.4 million in front of a jury. I have a movie here. Who bombed Judy Barry? It's a question we still want to know the answer to. Another reason I'm running for president, to basically be in charge of the FBI instead of having them be in charge of us. So let me just tell you that if you want a copy of Who Bombed Judy Barry, see me after the press conference or in the main hall. Thank you very much. Darryl Cherney.
Thank you, Darryl. Next candidate will be Sedinam, Kinamo, Christin, Moyowasifza-Curry.
I can do a little bit of the makes the try. I have to come up this guy.
Oh, so I can move the microphone.
That would help. Good, gracious, green morning, folks. How y'all doing? Good. Our campaign started a year ago, and I knew a year ago that I was facing privilege over principle. Dr. Stein helped us a lot in 2012, but this is not the time for a privileged older woman to run. We need young people and folks of color, because we all know by the end of this century it will be a brown one. So in order to prepare our nation to be a brown one, I've been the only affirmative action program this wonderful party has had. Back in 2007, 2008, Dr. Cynthia McKinney was thinking about being on our platform and being our candidate, but she listened to two ignorant European Green Party males. I sat in my little South Central apartment and put together a tour because I knew Green Party people, 80% of us, were great people that would support her. I did that. That was the only affirmative action program that broke us from having a overhouse on our ticket. This is the same affirmative action program I'm taking as a Black woman of color with indigenous roots and who speaks Spanish to say it loud and proud. We must stop privilege in our party. If we are seriously to be taken seriously, we can't look like Dr. Stein for the next now and the next 30 years. This is a contested convention. When you look inside the audience, you'll see a mainly European face. I don't use white because it's a social construct, and I've never heard of white land in my life. So that's crap, right? Let's just stop that. And I challenge our party to end white privilege, white supremacy within our party first, so we can demand our nation be a moral one. Look at the ignorant views that the RNC picks. Look at the warmonger that the DNC picks. People tired of that crap. We all tired of it. So let's get young people, folks of color, immigrants. I'm the only Muslim American running. I haven't made my religion an issue, but I want to point that out. The largest growing religion in the U.S. is what? Y'all know. Tell me something, people. Y'all don't know. It is growing. Thank you, sister. Thank you, sister. But Islam is. Fortunately, I see myself as Abraham, so I respect us cousins fighting all over the world with each other. It's a family feud. So unlike most people, I don't talk forever. So unless if you have questions of me, that's fine. We contested this convention. The structures, because we're a volunteer organization, don't work, especially if they're surrogates of Dr. Stein, and that's what we've experienced. We will grow from this. Two wonderful things have happened. I've been able to facilitate an echo socialist caucus. We're starting that here. So we'll be moving more towards socialism, and we did work on an anti-capitalist platform. I'm so happy. Also, accountability caucus. Because we're human, everybody messes up. I was going to say that word, I'll say it. We lack the accountability. So we've created that, an accountability caucus, so that the violations that we experience won't happen again. So this is a process our party is going through. I love Dr. Jill Stein. She just should not be running because no one even knew my dope Elijah and his other a younger brother. He got told not to run. That's not acceptable. And I will be black, proud, and loud during this convention. So I want you to know that this is out of love that I'm doing this. Because I will be green after this. I was green before this. So love us. We just showing our ugliness for a moment, but we will move past it. I thank you all. Ayape, Sedinam. Oh, I'll say it all. Fatima. Ayape, Sedinam, Kinamo, Christin, Moyowasifza-Curry from South Central Los Angeles, the Pueblo del Rio Housing Project. I was public school trained. I'm the best of what America has done through Head Start and public school. I'm proud not to hold an Ivy League degree because I have fought better than these folks with them. No, look it up. Google me, baby. Google me. I'm in it. Come on.
And next, I'd like to introduce Elijah Manley.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, first, I want to start off by saying that I'm 17 and I'm the youngest candidate for the presidency in the history of America and the youngest to get any ballot access in America. I want to start off by saying how I first decided to become a presidential candidate. I was young. I was very energized by Bernie Sanders after he decided to run. And I decided, hey, if everybody else is doing this, why can't I do it? Age should not be a barrier at all to do anything, especially being the fact that I was living in poverty for most of my life and I had changed my life a lot. The years before that was not into good stuff. So I decided to run for president, probably before Dr. Jill Stein. On June 10, 2015, I was the youngest candidate to run for presidency. I broke the barrier by filing with the FTC, Form 1 and Form 2. And I raised over $5,000. And I was not recognized by the Green Party. The reason why I'm running is because there's a lot of issues that are ignored. A lot of issues that are ignored. A lot of young people's voices that are ignored. I fight to lower the voting age to 16 every day. I fight because I know my generation is having to deal with a lot of these issues in the future. Like climate change. Like going underwater, being from South Florida. That's something you just have to think of. The fight for healthcare, the fight for 15. These are things my generation is going to have to live with every day for the rest of our lives. And we may not survive it. But that's why it's my privilege of running. And that's why I'm here in this party. Because I believe that we can transform this party from a party that has white privilege, from a party that has adult privilege, to respecting the voices of the next generation, who I am representing. And I tell you this because I care about my future. And other young people care about their future. And they're not just kids. They're not just kids. Our generation is going to have to live with decisions that your generation makes for the rest of our lives. It is time that we take control of the means of production.
Yeah.
It's time that we take control of our own destiny.
Yes.
So I tell every young person that I meet all around the country that I travel everywhere, no matter if you want to be an athlete, a doctor, a lawyer, a superstar, or president of the United States, you should be able to do it, and age should not be a barrier. And that's what I'm fighting for. Because we need somebody young like myself, a minority like myself, who is willing to go in the White House and say, let's abolish the Federal Reserve. That's the first thing I'm going to do as president of the United States. The second thing I would do is I will pardon Edward Snowden. The third thing I would do is I will fight the lower the voting age, to fight for single-payer health care insurance. If I was able to get into the presidential debate in sorry, Joe, I'm not going to be nice. And I'm going to tell Donald Trump to his face, you are a coward, you are a liar, and you are a fool. And then I'm going to look at Hillary and say, you are the same thing too. Because it is not time for a neoliberal future in our country. It is time for a progressive future.
Radical.
A progressive and radical future.
Thank you.
It is not time for neoliberalism to take us back another century. It is not time for corporate government. It is time that we put younger people first. It is time that we put our community first, African Americans first, Latin Americans first, and our children. Native Americans, all the minorities that happen in the North. Because yes, black lives do matter. Brown lives do matter. From the African Americans being shot here in America by our own police, to the brown people in Syria, with the bombs dropping on the brown people in Syria, to Iraq, Afghanistan, Africa, everywhere. Brown and black lives do matter. And that's why I'm running for president. So they may not have told you a lot about me, because I'm a young person, I'm this French candidate, you know. I'm not French. I have a platform. If you go on my website, ElijahManley.com, to see my platform. I have the most progressive platform in this race. Going even further than Dr. Stein, and I love Dr. Stein, I do, sincerely. But it is not time to sell out to it. It is time that we look and we start doing something. Because right now, our future is at stake. And I'm not going to wait till I'm 35. I'm not going to wait until it's the right age to do anything. I'm going to do it now. Because in 5 to 10 years, I may not be living. We may get a disaster neoliberal warmonger in the White House. Or we may get a crazy fool who doesn't know what he's talking about in the White House. We don't need any of those. We need somebody who's willing to stand up to the principles regardless of age, and that's who I am. When I get in there may be a threat of assassination, a threat of impeachment, but that has happened to every progressive who's been in there, who's tried to fight for some type of progressive change. Whether it was JFK, whether it was anyone. Abolishing the Federal Reserve is the way to go. We need some type of monetary reform. That's the way to go. We need single-payer health care. That's the way to go. We need to get rid of Common Core. That's the way to go. Because it's ridiculous that a young African-American male who's been in this world for 17 years now, who's been living a hell of a life, to have to come up here and say it in the green light. We have to dismantle white supremacy and white privilege in our country. Because it's everywhere. We don't need to reform the police department. We need to deconstruct and reconstruct the police system. Because the system that we have now was never meant to serve and protect minorities. Let's face it. It was meant to catch them and return it to them. So now, we may not be in slavery with chains around our necks, but the economic slavery is just as worse. Keeping younger people, minorities, and the disenfranchised and the poor down in the dirt. Down in the dirt to make sure that they never crawl to the top. To make sure they never challenge the power of that powerful 1% that has all the money, that controls all the means of production. It is time to take it. It is time for a revolution. It is time to abolish, yes, I said abolish the IRS because they are in the press. It's time to tell the NSA to get the hell out of our private life. It is time to do that. It is time to abolish the FDA. Because pharmaceutical companies don't have no right to be trying to drain all the profit out of our pockets and keep us sick so we can keep running rapid. Abolish GMOs. Take down the racist slavery symbols everywhere in our country. We don't need a Confederate flag flying everywhere. I'm sorry, it belongs in the history books, not flying anywhere near my home. being from the South, I experience a lot of racism every single day. It's everywhere. Whether it's a street name, it's a flag, a statue, or they're not teaching it in history class, it's there. And I'm gonna be true and I'm gonna be radical no matter who it hurts. It's time for some type of change because I'm not gonna be living the rest of my life in fear, hoping that somebody else does something. I'm gonna do something. So, as I was saying throughout this whole exact speech, this convention is contested. And it's contested because many of the candidates, including myself in this party, has not had a fair and unbiased primary system. We all know Dr. Jill Stein was the nominee before the primary even started. Now, I'm not going to leave the Green Party. I'm not going to rush off the Green Party. I'm not going anywhere. After this nomination, I'm not going anywhere. After November, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here to build our party so we can fight to get it reformed and we can fight for our principles and the values in this country because they have been telling me, you're too young. They have been telling me, your voice does not matter. And you will see this in my speech later. How I outline the age discrimination in this party, and the racism and the sexism and the white privilege in this party. This is not the DNC. And there's no reason why we should even be having this conversation. So that's why I'm here at this press conference today. That's why I'm here at this convention. And I was told not to even come to this convention because an older white member of this party believed that I was going to physically harm. Now I know I'm not a nice person at this time. I'm not soft as you can tell. But I'm not here to harm anyone. Some people's feelings, they get hurt. But that is what we must do as brothers and sisters in this country to continue to move forward. Because we can't be divided, and that's what they want, to divide and conquer us. That is exactly what they want. Rather it's through economics or education. Rather it's teaching the students in school to conform to the system, to conform to their neoliberal plans, to conform, and they teach you this every day in school. You ask the principal, why can't I do this? Oh, it's just the way it is. You can't challenge it. Look to all the young people watching and everybody watching. You go out there and you start a revolution. You go out there and you challenge the authority. Because that is what has been going on in America for how long? So when Donald Trump said, make America great again, hey Donald, when has America ever been great in its history? Was it through slavery, sharecropping, when women didn't have the right to vote, through segregation, through how they were treating the LGBT people not long ago, and how they're treating young people today in the streets? Yes. It's not just oppression on African Americans, it's oppression on everybody that's poor. I agree. But this is how they do it. They make us divide against each other so we are at the bottom fighting for the cross they top, while they keep the bread in the pot for themselves. It's time for that to change. It's time to open up the debate so all of us can get in there. It's time to allow someone like you to get in there who's very passionate about the future, who's very passionate about change. Because the young people that I've met on the campaign trail, they don't believe in the system. They don't even believe in Dr. Stein. And they told me that even if they were old enough to vote, I would be the only choice they would have. Because they're fed up. And they're fed up. They're fed up of living in poverty. They're fed up even my undocumented brothers and sisters who get here. That is another civil rights movement. They are our brothers and sisters no matter where they come from. They come here for hope and a better life. This country has never even belonged to us in the first place. Stolen and occupied. So it is no right for us to tell anyone who's coming in this country they don't have a right to a better life. They don't have a right to health insurance. We don't have a right to a better education system. We don't have a right to abolish the Fed, because I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you. Better hope that I never get in there. Because when I get in there, dude, I don't care if they have to assassinate me. It's gonna get done. So thank you so much for even listening to me. I'd like to know about that.
Thank you a lot. Early this week, Dr. Stein announced the running mate, Ajamu Baraka, who will speak next.
Thank you. It's my pleasure and my honor to be here this morning. Instead of Dr. Stein, who had to
Jill
involve
was sitting
herself
next to me.
in the previous situation. But I will tell you something. This is, one of the things that I've seen over the last 2 days is the tremendous potential of this party. In terms of the kinds of struggle that people have been involved in, all with the ultimate objective to strengthen the party and to make this a vehicle that we can use to make radical change here in this country. And as you just heard, that struggle can be difficult, but it's a struggle that we don't run from, and we shouldn't run from. Because in the end, when we have that struggle, when we wage that struggle, we have those tough conversations, we're going to be more united. It'll be united on a more authentic basis than a phony kind of process of unifying people. So I thank this young man for his comments. And I look at the fact that he feels comfortable raising these kinds of comments and engaging in this kind of struggle, and at the same time having the profound political understanding and commitment to the structure to know that in the end it's about trying to make us all stronger. So I thank you. We have a moment here. I think that this kind of struggle and conversation is important. I think that we have to have it because we want to make sure that we are in a position to go forward, to take advantage of the fact that we have a chance to make some profound changes here in this country. We have a situation where a plurality of the voters in this country are not disaffected from both of the major political parties. So people are looking for real change in this country. Where people are raising serious questions about how this country is structured, its value system. We have a chance to engage the American people in a serious conversation and to suggest to the American people that we have alternatives. And that's why it's important we come out of this convention strengthened, stronger, clearer. And that's what the Stein and Baraka campaign intends to do if we are in fact honored to be your representatives. We are pledging ourselves to struggle for this party, pledging ourselves to struggle for the future of this country. And we believe that we can win. We say when we can win, we're not talking about just the ticket. We say we mean the people. We can win and we will win. We have to win for the future of ourselves and for those coming after us. We have no other choice. So our principles in this Green Party are clear and progressive. The platform of the Stein Baraka is clear and progressive. You see what's around the corner in the platform that was just shared with you. So we are coming. We are organizing. We are determined. And in the end, we know that we're going to win.
Yeah.
We'll move on to question and answers right now, but before we do that, I'd like to tell the candidates if your speaking time in the theater is coming up soon, go ahead and head down. You're a little late right now.
I'll be leaving sooner, but I'll stay for a minute.
Okay. So questions and answers for the candidates. Yes, sir.
For Elijah Manley, who is the person who told you not to come to the convention?
I don't know the name of the lady, but I will tell you one of the chairs of the PTSD gave me a call and told me specifically. I remember when the chair from the chair and come up here with the podium. And I'll bring the mic down. Rick, he told her called me and told me that a member of the party, and I asked him the name, he said he wanted to do that. Said that she did not want to be, she was afraid of me coming to the convention because she was afraid that I would physically harm her. Now to me that sounds like racism. I'm not gonna lie, that's the first thing I would think. An older white member afraid that a younger black male comes to the convention is a threat. I can see why I'm a threat, but I don't see how I'm a physical threat.
Other questions? Yes.
This is a question for all of the candidates. Given that this convention is happening in Texas, because this is a red state, what role do you see green party voters and progressives in different conservative states playing in influencing and the green party initiative?
Yeah. Go ahead, Darryl. I'm going to answer that in 2 words. Jim Hightower. This state has actually produced a magnificent number of progressive politicians. And even though he brought us the Vietnam War, Lyndon Johnson also brought us the Civil Rights Act. And in the Great Society. Not that I am a fan of Lyndon Johnson, but the fact of the matter is that Texas has some incredibly wonderful people in the state, and I don't think anybody should be giving up on any state, regardless of what color they put on it. You know, when I first saw, I think it was Tim Russert during the Gore Bush election start to label the states blue and red. I believe that's the first time I ever saw that. I started thinking about the Civil War. You know, the blue and the gray. Now we got the blue and the red. We're dividing this country. We're prepping it for a civil war. I'm not buying into that. I believe that candidates like the ones you see up here, along with myself, we can speak to all the people. We can speak to no matter what their political persuasions are, because everybody has 99% of the same thing in common. We want to feed our children. We want to house ourselves. We want to have medical care. We want to go to school. We want to have a job. We want to survive on this planet. Every single person is the same. The 1% that's different, that is like a spice. You have the same ingredients in a meal, but you put a little spice in it, and it changes the flavor. But 99% of us are the same, and that's what we're going to be addressing as we move forward.
Same, I would say, you have a good bowl, and it's like soup. You have a little too much spice, you ruin the whole pot. I think this, and I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, as we all know, we follow him on Facebook, so in the back. But I can say a lot of the supporters, they want outside, and they want change, and they want something outside of the party. So, if you can somehow put some of his voters and tap into any red state, you come along to Green Party, who doesn't take corporate money, who isn't party. So, maybe that's the right way. I don't think we should give up on any state like this or anybody, because I met someone at home who was a hardcore, person who was Cruz supporter and Trump supporter. They're a hardcore Trump supporter. They switched to Bernie, and that was like, what? Who switched to Bernie? That's wait, what? All right. But it's possible. So I think some people, there's a lot of ignorance out there, but if you give them this information and you educate them, they'll probably be willing to listen. You might just get one person. You never know, one person may be supposed to that.
Anybody else want to answer that? Okay. Yes.
Hi, I'm Darryl Cherney with the Progressive. The Democratic Party narrative is very much on a fear mountain from the last one. Say, take the party out of fear of doing something worse. It's narrative that, of course, many of us can buy. But I think that what's key when it comes to adoption is state is inclusive. And, we can talk about issues all day long, and of course, they're really important. But what would you say to the American people who are struggling with change and they're going in a new direction? I think, some of the people
It's really simple. Those of us who have been impacted by the 15 monarchs of Europe, where the majority of folks in the Green Party come from, we're the majority of the world. So we've been looking at this European conquer mentality for 600 years. Life will not change. I have no fear of either of those two corporate funded people. My life and who I am and what I represent won't change. So what has happened is, because of media, we've been able to understand and acknowledge that class mentality is bigger. It's not ours. Fortunately, Europeans who have been oppressed by that monarchical system have joined us. The brother who helped put together the unauthorized workshop yesterday is from the Irish Republic. Being degreed in understanding social science, human nature has moved beyond stupidity into survival mode now. So no fear of either the corporate funded candidate, no fear of the process we're going through. We have to let, there's a biblical saying about letting the wheat and the chaff grow together. Just take us as a wheat field grow in our nation. We won't be the same. No fear, America. No fear, world. We just have to join together and get into survival mode with eco-socialism for our planet and ourselves.
Well, first of all, I want to say, like she said, we shouldn't be afraid of them because that's what they want. They want us to be afraid of them. They want fear. That's how they win. That's how they've been winning for hundreds of years. I'm gonna say this, and I'm not endorsing Trump. I like Trump. But Hillary,
I'm 50 years old, but we cannot come
okay, Hillary is a lot more scary than Donald Trump. Donald Trump,
Can we all clap? Yes.
Donald Trump doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know anything. If he gets elected to the presidency, which would be surprising if he does, he can make it that far. I mean, he would get impeached, shot, or he just wouldn't know what the hell to do. He wouldn't be able to do anything. He would probably be more of an Obama, I would say. Hillary, on the other hand, knows exactly what she's doing. She's an insider to everything. She's the queen corporate candidate that they have been preparing for a long time. She's
Agent of the state.
Agent of the state. She's a neoliberal disaster. She knows exactly what she's doing. She is a war hawk who will start World War III. Nobody likes her. Younger people don't like her. Other countries don't like her. She's a liar. If you watch Clinton Cash, you will know a lot about what she did to other countries. She will be a disaster for not working people in this country. She will be a disaster to the healthcare system. We will not have clean water and food in this country if we allow her to get there. She's pro-fracking. She's against everything that Sanders was for, and now she's flip-flopping. So I'm just saying, Clinton will be a lot worse than Trump. But the Democrats want you to think that they are the lesser evil. And that, oh, you vote for the lesser evil, you're going to get this. And then same thing on the Republicans. You vote for this, and you're going to get this. We might as well say vote for alien, or you're going to get squashed. I mean, come on. It's the same exact thing that they're doing. Don't fall for it. It's a trap.
This is for presidential candidate or you believe? I'm trying to get it to you. Oh.
I do think that that narrative of fear has to be confronted directly. We have to engage the American people in honest conversations so that we can create an electorate that will not be so susceptible to those kinds of attempts to eliminate serious critical thinking and to be manipulated by fear or anger or hate. That's why for this campaign, we're going to engage the American people in respectful conversations. We are committed to a campaign in which we don't tell any lies. We don't take the people for granted. That we believe that people can understand the complexities of life and how this society and the world is structured. That's the only way we're going to be able to build a people who will be prepared to in fact have power for themselves. So that is a task because that fear situation is in fact working for both sides. Because the Trump people and elements of the Conservative Party, they say that they're scared of a Clinton administration. So this notion of fear that blocks thinking is something we have to deal with because it has a real profound impact on the politics. Okay, so I'm going to end my very quick comment here.
Presidential speeches have begun, so we're going to allow the candidates to head down to the theater now. We invite you to talk to the candidates themselves as much as you can. get to know us, get to know the Green Party, and we will see you here
So nice to meet you.
later today.
Yes, and thank you for your leadership.